Hey guys, it's time for another vlog. So today it's pretty interesting. I left from Houston, from Bel Air, and I started heading west. I kind of expected to put it about 30 miles in, and so I found a place 30 miles around about away. It was called Cross Creek Ranch, and so I made it over there, and turns out it was kind of just this big subdivision. But I spent a couple hours there. I relaxed. I found a table and just kind of hung out for a minute. I read some of my book. Um, I had to fix a flat on the trailer, so that was no big deal. But for the most part, it's kind of uneventful. The beginning trip, leaving from Houston was nice. I kind of went along the bayou. Apparently, Google Maps took me along that line, and it was nice to kind of go on the bayou. The second half was mostly just really nice, big subdivisions, really big houses, and things like that. Which to me is a little bit less interesting, but it was pretty nice to have some clean roads and everything, so that was nice. After that, I got back on the bike and decided to start biking some more. I fully expected to find, some place on the side of the road, find myself a little nook and kind of camp out there. But as the weather would have it, I noticed a cool front coming in on the south side of me, and so I was like, okay, well, and I tried a couple different spots on the side of the road, and one was flooded, and the other one just had too many weeds, and I just didn't really feel comfortable just camping right on the side of the road. So by that time, the rain had started to come down, and so I looked around and I saw there was a property that had a small barn on it. So I ride my bike over and knock on the door and say, hey, I'm a bicycle traveler. I'm trying to get out of the rain for a bit. Do you mind if I, just kind of wait it out inside of your barn there? She's like, oh yeah, okay. And so I go back there and I kind of just piddling around, recovering from the miles that I'd put in, and I checked the weather and it showed that in a few hours it would let up. That showed 0% chance of rain. It's like, all right, cool. I mean, at 6 o'clock I can ride it for another 10 miles maybe and see if I can find a good spot. 6 o'clock rolls around, it's still kind of sprinkling, and I check the weather and it shows that it's just going to be raining pretty much all evening. So like, okay, well, great. So I go knock on the door over there, and I was like, hey, I've been over there in the back, and it showed that the weather was going to clear up, but it didn't, and now it's saying it's going to rain all evening. I was like, do you mind if I just pitch a tent in your barn there? And he's like, yeah, go ahead, and that's by all means, go ahead, that's cool. I'm like, all right, cool. So I head back, and I start setting up my tent, and right when I unroll it, he's like, oh man, hold on. He takes me over to his garage, opens up the door, and is like, you can pull your stuff in here. You can sleep here tonight. It's not going to flood. So I was like, wow, that's really awesome. That's great. So he put me in his garage. He's like, oh, what are you sleeping on? I was like, oh, I've got a little roll-out camping pad. And like, oh, well, that's going to be rough on this concrete floor. So he pulls out this cot that he has, and he's going to let me sleep on this cot. I'm like, all right, awesome, And then a few minutes later, the wife comes out and hands me this plate of food, which is totally awesome. I mean, I have some food in there, but for somebody who's like, oh, here's some food. She brought me a bottle of water, pulled out a chair for me. So it's been really quite astounding just to see, the hospitality that I was, I guess, in some ways not really expecting here in the States. Now, granted, a little bit more of a rural area, so that does kind of help with that. But it's just one of those things where I kind of have this preconceived idea of how hospitality is going to work here in the States. So it's really nice, refreshing to see that. And those are like the main points of what happened today. Beyond all of that, there's a second layer to this. This is not just all awesome adventure. There's a lot of sitting around being bored. One of the phrases that's come to my mind is eventful and uneventful. I ride out here to that ranch, and then I sit at a table for a couple hours, and I read my book, but I'm just kind of like piddling around. And then I ride a few more miles, and then I'm in this barn. I'm just sitting there for like 3 hours, just kind of trying to find something to do, read my book. I pull out my 3DS and play a little bit. But that's what it's going to be like. I think it's going to be half and half. Half the time I'm going to be utterly bored and have to be okay with just sitting there being bored and letting the time pass and realizing how much time there actually is in the day. And the other half is going to be just these crazy happenstance things happening and just going with the flow and seeing what the day has to offer, which is kind of what I talked about a little bit in my last video. But I rode 40 miles today. I would have liked to put in another 10, but the weather didn't permit me to do so. But it's actually kind of looking like I may be able to go straight to Austin within the next 3 days. As I feel like I could have done another 10 miles today, which would have put me at 50. If I can do 50 miles the next 3 days, I'll be in Austin. So it looks like it's going to be going a lot faster than I had planned as far as actual travel, which kind of makes me really happy. It'll take me about half as long, well, not half as long, it'll take me less time to get to Austin and to the West Coast than I initially anticipated, which is very exciting for me. But other than that, guys, if you have any questions or comments, feel free, share the video, hit me up on Facebook, whatever you feel like. Alright guys, have a good one.